Hey guys, what's up? It's Zach Blinkensop. If you're one of my subscribers, welcome back. If you are new to my channel, welcome to my channel. This video is going to be about how to find an apartment in Mexico City, and also I'm going to give you a quick apartment tour of my apartment that I lived in majority of the time when I was in Mexico City. So obviously right now we are in COVID-19 lockdown, so I'm currently just south of Asheville, North Carolina, in a little town called Flat Rock. I'm doing a project for the U.S. government, so I am still considered essential personnel. So I'm still being able to do some traveling in the U.S., so that's pretty nice. But I'm hoping that you guys that are getting ready to go to Mexico City, hopefully when all these quarantine procedures kind of fall away, or this is probably going to be watched a little bit more into the future. But either way, I wanted to maybe you're a guy living in Mexico City right now and you're trying to find a place. So I wanted to kind of share the story of how I found my apartment in Mexico City. Some of you guys may just be stuck staying in Airbnb or something and want to find a more cost-effective solution. So I got to Mexico City in May of 2019, and May of 2019. So I just got back from the U.S. I lived there almost a year in Mexico, and I was in Monterrey before doing an Airbnb there, and then I found I wanted to go to Mexico City for a little while. But before I just went and rented an apartment, I wanted to find out if Mexico City was going to be a good fit for me. So what I did was I just rented an Airbnb. I rented a room for my first month, and then I actually ended up getting a full apartment on Airbnb for my second month. But after then, I knew that I wanted to stay in Mexico City a minimum of 6 months because the city's so great. And if you haven't spent time there and you are thinking about going to Mexico City, I am a huge fan of Mexico City. I think it's a great place to be. The vibe's great. The weather's incredible. The food's great. I mean, the people are super friendly. I could go on and on about Mexico City, but I knew I wanted to be there for some time. So what I decided to do was start looking for an apartment. So I called several places, and my Spanish was... I was marginally conversational at that time. I could go on dates speaking Spanish. My ex-girlfriend at the time was Ecuatoriana, and she only spoke Spanish, so I could speak a little Spanish, but having like business conversations was something I really struggled with. I was lucky and I found a lady named Dina, and I'll actually put her information in the description below. I think she's still in Mexico City. But I'll give you her WhatsApp. You can always shoot her a message. She's Canadian, but she's lived in Mexico City like 5 years now and really knows the lay of the land. Because I did all these apartment tours first, again, where everyone was speaking in Spanish that didn't maybe speak a lot of English, and I was really struggling finding a place. Well, I called one place on Craigslist, I think is where I found it. And she ended up being the lady that, and I ended up getting the apartment that she was showing, but she was going to show me some other places if that one wasn't going to work. But like I said, it worked out for me. So first off, what you should do is there's a few ways that you can actually find an apartment. One is to find a place on Airbnb you really like, and you can just message the owner directly or the host and say, hey, I'm interested in renting this long term. Would you guys be interested in doing like a 6-month lease or a 3-month or whatever? You'd be surprised on how many people on Airbnb are willing to do this, because like my house, I Airbnb it when I'm gone. But when, like, for instance, I was making like $1,600 a month on my little house I have back in Alabama on Airbnb, but then I had a guy offer me $1,200 a month to rent it out for 6 months, and I was like, well, is it $400? Is it worth me having people in and out versus one person who just stays in there? So I elected to go with the guy for 6 months. So, but if he would have rented like off Airbnb rates, he would have paid $1,600 or $1,700 is what he would have paid for per month through the website. So if you find a place you really like, or a few places, and you can do this really quickly, and obviously there's a lot of pictures on Airbnb most of the time for the places, just message the person directly and ask them if they'd be willing to do a long-term lease. So that's one, I would say that's probably the best way to find a long-term solution. Number two is do what I did and find, if you're not a fluent English or Spanish speaker, is find someone who is, that shows apartments, and then have them be your agent. You may lose a little bit because obviously they need a commission for for doing that, and most of the time that's paid out by the person who owns the place anyway. But finding someone like that will be a huge help. Like I said, I'll put Dina's information. I'm assuming she's still in Mexico City below. And then the number 3 is, I'll put this kind of together, Facebook and Craigslist. People still use that in Mexico City. Finding people on the Facebook Marketplace is becoming, I guess, probably more prevalent than Craigslist. But Craigslist is still a viable option, which is again how I ended up finding my place and got hooked up with Dina. So that's another place that you can look to find places, and there's a ton of them on Airbnb, or excuse me, on a Facebook Marketplace. There's a few other, like I've got a buddy of mine who he hooked up with ended up staying with a girl. She was a model, and he ended up staying with her, and they became roommates. So that worked out pretty well for him because obviously she's an attractive girl. She had a lot of attractive friends. So, and he used something called, I want to say it was called like DD Room or something like that. You guys probably know what it is, but if you just Google like find a roommate Mexico City or roomie Mexico City, there's some websites where you can just get hooked up with a roommate. But I'm kind of more gearing this towards finding your own place. So anyway, that's how I found my place. And the end of this video is going to be an apartment tour of my place. So what I ended up doing is doing a 6-month lease. They worked with me. They wanted a year, but I convinced them to do a 6-month lease. And guys, feel free to negotiate. A lot of people will put up a price and stuff like that to see if somebody will pay it. But, you know, there's a lot of times, I mean, housing's hard to find in Mexico City, particularly if you're looking in the Condesa, La Roma, Polanco, Santa Fe areas. You know, it might be a little bit harder to find housing because, you know, the good spots are, you know, they do go by pretty quick. But negotiate if you find a place. And so I negotiated mine down both for the cost per month and how much they were gonna charge me to keep my dog there. And I ended up showing them that he was a very good animal and that's not something I had to worry about. So but the process is a little difficult. You're gonna have to most likely go to a lawyer's office and you're gonna have to sign a bunch of documents, and sometimes that you have to show temporary residence. Sometimes you have to you'll have to pay a little bit money for to do all this to happen. But in the long term, you're going to save way more money than what you do if you're just renting off Airbnb. So, like I said, I'm going to show. So this the video that's going to be at the end is going to be a quick apartment tour of my place. I had a studio. I was in Condesa, really close to Avenida. Gosh, it's been so Nuevo Leon. That's what I was close to. Nuevo Leon. Sorry, it's been a couple months now. But it was a great apartment. I really enjoyed it. The only thing is, if you're going to move to Condesa or La Roma, check about the construction that's around, because there's been so much construction done from the earthquakes that happened in 2017. There's still just so much construction to be done, and there's a lot of people that's flipping and rehabbing properties. So definitely make sure that you go during the daytime, during the week, to look at your place, because that's something that you may want to know. For me, I went on a Saturday. It was a mistake. My place did have a little bit of noise, which was one thing that was kind of annoying. But I lived on Ensenada. It was actually Ensenada 64 is where my apartment was my address. And that was the only thing, is it was the noise. Outside of the noise, I mean, my apartment was awesome. We had a terrace, which you'll see at the very end part of the video. I had this cool little basement area that I ended up moving my desk down to turn it into my office, where I could kind of get away and just really concentrate on working there. You know, and it was, like I said, it was just a little studio, but I paid, I think services included, I paid about $900 US a month. That's fully furnished. It was a brand new apartment. I was the first one to live in there. That's electricity, internet. My internet was really good. I mean, everything. So, and we had a door guy, which was great. He would keep my dog and stuff when I would go travel to other parts of Mexico, or I had to fly back to the U.S. So anyway, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever about anything related to finding a place, let me know. Again, my name is Zach Blinkenstop. Thanks for watching the video. Please watch the rest of this for the apartment tour. And if you like my content and you want to hear more from me, please subscribe. I got a lot of other content from Mexico on there, and I promise for all my subscribers out there, as soon as this is lifted and I can get back out of the U.S. and do my thing, the plan is I'm going to do Canada next for probably about a month, and then I'm probably going to head south of Mexico, and I'm going to start in Guatemala and start working my way south until I get somewhere. So that's kind of my tentative plan now, but everybody stay safe. I know the COVID-19 is something that we all should be taking pretty serious. And anyway, until next time, see you guys.